All right, it's getting close until we have to vote for a new prime minister. And I've been talking to a lot of people, as I'm sure everybody else has. Some of you have already made up your mind, and others haven't. For the ones that are supporting Polyev, I have a question. I want to know in the comments. Tell me why we should. I mean like actual why we should be voting for Polyev, and none of these talking points that I've been hearing from a lot of you supporters as well. Like for example, the healthcare is destroyed, legalize hard drugs. There's a housing problem. It's all the liberals' fault, and immigration. Let's go over each one. For example, healthcare. The federal government has nothing to do with healthcare. It's provincial and regional. Okay, they could they have the ability to go to each province and to negotiate funding if they have issues, maybe finding doctors, building infrastructure for hospitals, new research, development, equipment, and everything else. They have that power. But in terms of saying our healthcare is garbage, is because it's the liberals' fault, that's wrong. That's wrong. So I don't want to hear that point anymore. Like, for example, here in Ontario spends the least amount of money per person on healthcare, and that's Doug Ford's fault. You can even say it's his fault, and also regional. Like in my area, we have a new hospital, and the province paid for it at the time. I believe it was the Liberals, but the region's responsible to fund it in terms of machinery, and they still haven't. Let's also look at another example. I'm diabetic, type 1 diabetic. I've been on insulin since I was in grade 8. The liberals actually did something to a certain degree with, the push of the NDP. Insulin and birth control being funded by the federal government. And at the time, when they passed it, what did we hear? Not like, oh, this is great and everything else from all the provinces. A lot of provinces, especially Alberta, where who are you? What are you doing? Don't get involved in the affairs of healthcare. We're the ones who know what the constituents need in terms of healthcare. You're just going to screw everything up. You know how many provinces have signed on to that new pharmacare bill? Three: British Columbia, Manitoba, PEI. No Ontario, no Alberta. As a diabetic, yes, I understand a lot of you have insurance. I don't. It comes out of my pockets. And this is stuff I need. It's not like blood pressure, cholesterol pills, or whatnot, where if I'm healthier, I'll be able to, get rid of those pills and I won't require it. I need this to survive. My wife doesn't have insurance. I don't have insurance. I spend about $3,600 a year on insulin supplies. It wasn't always like that. It's only been in the last 2 years because of our situations, being unemployed, going on our own, and everything else. Understandable. But that's something good. They did something good. They're working on that. Let's move on to the next. Hard drugs. What are you talking about, hard drugs? They changed the law for BC. BC requested that they decriminalize some hard drugs, but only if you have more than 2.6 grams, I believe. Anything that or lower, you're not being arrested, because they wanted to try something different in terms of, instead of throwing everybody in jail, clogging up the justice system and everything else, which in theory makes sense. I don't think they understood that they also had to pour in a lot of money for rehabilitation, to help these people out with the addiction and everything else. And they have a problem now. And that's why they requested that they, claw that back. There's problems with it. It wasn't countrywide. So this idea that hard drug was legalized, when you say that, it makes it look like it's all over Canada. We have problems here in Ontario in terms of mechanics, no different than anywhere else in Canada. But that's also a provincial and regional problem for funding. Have they gone to the federal government asking for money to help out? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think anybody said that. Housing. That's nuanced. Again, housing is the responsibility of the province and the cities and regions. The federal government can't come in and start dictating what they want done in terms of housing. They can work with the province. And technically, the Liberals have a plan in terms of their idea of cookie cutter permits and everything else, which they're going to work. What's Poilievre got? HST break for I think everybody or new. I can't remember which one it was, but what's an HST break? It's still hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars for a home, depending on where you are. And that's also a thing too, is depending on where you are and what location you are in Canada. It's not high everywhere. It's high in high density areas, Ontario, the Horseshoe area, BC, in terms of Vancouver, Victoria, I think certain parts of Quebec. And then there are areas like out east where a lot of people have sold their homes in Ontario for millions of dollars, 1.5 million, whatever. And they've, because they're able to work remotely, have gone to those areas where it's quiet and whatnot and bought homes there. That's just population shift. That's not the Liberals' fault. You could say high interest rates. Yeah, beautiful. I understand. High interest rates, make homes unaffordable. But that is not the only problem of why homes are unaffordable or people can't get in the market. That's a problem. That's not the problem. And finally, immigration. I will give you that. They screwed up. Yes, they allowed too many people into the country that the social services, homes, infrastructure cannot keep up. That, I will grant you, is a problem and their problem. Now, is someone going to not vote for the Liberals just because of immigration? I don't know. But you should have just went with just immigration. Healthcare, hard drugs, housing is not a Liberal problem. It's everybody's problem. Provincial, municipality, and if they didn't ask for help in the federal government, then it is their problem. But I don't see that. Poilievre blew a 25-point lead. And the only reason why he had a 25-point lead was because of Justin Trudeau. Somebody once told me, here in Canada, we don't vote people into power. We vote people out of power. And that's the reason why there was a big shift for Poilievre. I can't tell you if they liked them or not. Actually, I can because of the polling numbers that have shifted. But at the time, people hated Trudeau. They were tired of him. It's not the Liberal Party they were tired of. They were tired of Trudeau. Because as you can see, the Liberals have gained that 25% point leads, have taken it back. And during that time, where Trudeau was unpopular and the leader, Poilievre, only thing he did was he had the same talking points, the same rhetoric as Donald Trump. And that's also what is hurting him. And you guys think it's not. Or that the voters are misguided, that we shouldn't think about what's going on in the south of us and just concentrate on the leaders and their policies now. But the problem is it does affect us, and it is affecting us because of Trump's tariffs. So let's go with woke, fake news, defund public media, which Trump wanted to do with the PBS. He's going to be the savior of the country because the country's broken. These are all the same talking points Poilievre has. Canada's broken. Woke is taking over. Woke is the reason why our country's broken. They're going to defund CBC. That worked when everybody hated Trudeau. That doesn't work now. Because when you talk like somebody, people think you're going to be the same person. I personally don't think he's going to be as bad as Trump, but he's going to make some of the decisions that Trump does. When you tie your wagon to the rhetoric of another politician where the entire world is watching what he's doing, tariffs, no tariffs, tariffs again, exclusions, tariffs again, no tariffs, back and forth. No stability, even the people he's brought in to his cabinet. Let me show you an example of one of the people that he brought in. head of education in the U.S. Look what she did.
Sure that first graders or even pre-Ks have A1 teaching, every year starting, that far down in the grades. And that's a wonderful thing. Kids are sponges. They just absorb everything. And so it wasn't all that long ago that we're going to have internet in our schools. Woo. Now, okay, let's see A1 and how can that be helpful?
A1. A1. She's head of education. It was AI, like everybody making fun of her. Right now, if you go on the internet, it's all over the place. AI, not A1. She doesn't even understand what she's talking about. What I think, and a lot of people have the same opinion, is somebody showed her something, and she didn't understand what she was reading. But that's not good either. You can read something and not be an expert in everything. Ask questions. Did she ask a question? Did she say, what the hell does A1 mean? Like, what do you mean A1 is going to be in all the classrooms and it's going to help that? I don't know what this is. Am I misunderstanding something? Because again, AI, maybe you were just 1,000 things going on. You thought it was A1. Honest mistake. But she didn't ask that question. And she went on to public and actually said it. And people, even the people there that are next to her, are smiling and going, yeah, going, what the heck is she talking about? But that's not the only person. Then he has RFK Jr. What's going on with measles? What is he doing? Nothing. And we're also having a problem with measles in certain areas of the country. You've got high security Pentagon officials talking about an attack or a strike on the Houthis over signal. And then they add a reporter. These are the buffoons that Trump has brought into his cabinet. And this is what people are nervous about with Poilievre. When you talk like somebody, do you think you're going to be you're going to be the same person? And that's why voters are rejecting him. Has he made any attempt to distance himself from Trump and his rhetoric? Nope. Only thing he said was, I'm not MAGA. Okay. But for almost 2 years, you've been talking like MAGA. He never listens to independents. Those are the ones that dictate the outcome of an election. Stop talking and the rhetoric to your base. Your base will always vote for you. Even if there was an AI generated image, they would still vote conservative. You need to listen to the independents. Liberals that always vote liberals, they will never vote for conservatives. Independents are the key demographics that decides the outcome of an election. And he's done nothing to appeal to them, as the polling has shown. And now, you've got his followers saying, don't believe the polls. And a lot of them are saying it online. They've got banners. They're marching down streets. And as an independent, when I see that, do you think somebody wants to vote for a party that placates to them? It's like a flat earther coming around saying the earth is flat and saying I'm voting for this party, and they're listening to the things that I say. I'm not voting for them. That's crazy. Don't blame the polls. Blame your message to the constituents. And he's not listening. Doug Ford has called him out, as he said, quote unquote, the truth hurts. And then there was a gentleman, Corey Tonight, campaign manager. He was the campaign manager for Doug Ford, and I believe he was also consulting with Pierre Poilievre. Even he says he's an idiot. Lost a 25-point leads because he's not listening to the polls or targeting his message to the right constituents that will win him the election. Why would I want a leader who doesn't want to listen? Anyways, That I just wanted to explain for those hardcore conservatives that are not seeing what's going on and why he's losing. You need to also open up and listen to the people that are giving constructive criticism. Like, you don't have to listen to the actual liberals because, like I said, they will never vote for him. Listen to the comments of the independents. They're the ones you need to convince to come to your side, that your leader or that Poilievre is the one that's going to help Canada. It's not broken. We have problems, but it's not broken. No matter what, Poilievre, Carney, whoever, will be fine. I know we'll be fine. Might not look like certain policies from one candidate to the other. We are not like the States. That's extreme. But when you tie your wagon to that, there's consequences to it. That's it for me. So hopefully you take for what I have to say. Take it to heart. Throw it away. Hopefully you'll understand where I'm coming from and where a lot of voters are coming from, especially the independents. And whatever the outcome, wins, loses, especially if he loses, don't blame the voters. This is all on Poilievre and his message. All right, take care. Happy Easter. And go out and vote. Take care.